Thank you so much, and thank you for this invitation. I will put my clock on, so because then we know exactly then, or you can put my, okay, very good, thank you. So thank you so much for this. It's a big honor to be with you and to talk about the state of the profession, and especially also the profession for the future. When I was asked to talk about the landscape architecture profession, the state of play, I would like to be, because our president was already talking a lot about the profession and about the surveys, I would like to go a little bit beyond the state of the profession now. So it's going to be a little bit provocative and also maybe technical, yes? I hope you are all prepared about this. Yeah. So a profession in constant evolution. Let's start the Middle Age, when we started to talk about landscape architecture. It was not. We were not talking about landscape architecture at that time, right? But more and more landscape architects are taking the lead in designing our environments. And you can see more and more the evolution, starting from formal to more nature and biodiversity more and more. Our playground today, this is when we are talking about landscape and we are talking about landscape architecture, we are talking about nature in cities, regreening cities, reconsidering nature, bringing nature back. So we are talking about all the levels, all the layers of our territory, from the built and non-built and built environment. Anthropocene is going to be one of the biggest challenge of our profession, of our humanity. And it's a big driver of change. Everywhere when we are taking decisions, we are also referring about the Anthropocene and also our fossil consumptions, right? And if we look at the transformation we are experiencing all the day on our planet, everywhere, not only in Portugal, but also everywhere, we see an increase of all these trends. Not only the socio-economic trends, but also the Earth systems in a sense, right? So you can see methane, you can see carbon dioxide, nitrogen, domesticated land, transportation, telecommunications, everything is going up, right? Population also. And if we consider the consumption of resources we achieved until 1950, and going exactly consuming the same amount of resources in the next 50 years, achieving the 10 billions population we are going to have on our planet, we have a big problem, a really big problem. So be prepared. And this is only the start of the process. And landscape architects here are the professionals to help to have this climate adaptation process, to help also to deal with fire, to deal with the forest transformation, to deal with floods, etc. So when we talk about landscape at risks, yes, the risk toward 2050, because we are landscape architects, we are planning also for the next 20, 30 years. Our interventions are not for today, but also for the next 30 years. We are going to have to deal with all these crises, the so-called polycrisis we have today, right? So not only the climate adaptation measures, but also the social context, the biodiversity, the financial systems, the carbon neutrality, and the urban resilience. So in my opinion, but you may think also differently, our landscape architects, our main topics for the future, again, in this evolution of things we are dealing with, we are going to have discussions on human health and well-being, human security, and environmental justice. And this is what João was mentioning also just before. These are the main topics, the main challenges we are going to deal with in the next future, in the next generations. And the UN is doing exactly, is on the same pathways. So paradigm shift is needed. So they just published last week a report on the trends of our planet. So what are the trends beyond 2030, 2050? They identified 32 intersecting trends. And all these are interconnected. Landscape architects are doing and working exactly on the same way and the same system of thinking. We are talking about systems. And this is every time when we are talking about nature-based solutions, I'm saying all the time, no, come on. We are, as landscape architects, working in a system, and it means we need to think about the system in itself and not talking about isolated nature-based solutions. And the system is everywhere. And this is not only the social system, but it is also the information system and the ecological system connected to the economy system. Now, what does the whole thing has to do with our profession, right? Our profession is, sometimes we saw it just before, regulated or recognized, but not fully recognized and not fully regulated. For you, and this is a more technical part of this presentation, we are talking with the European Commission about the recognition of the profession, about the regulation of the profession. We have to know that we are not regulated according to the EU, according to the European Commission, because we are not in the register, right? Only some countries are regulated. If we want this regulated automatic recognition, we need to enter into this professional qualification directive, which is mentioned in the by law in the European Commission. The other way to enter in this recognition is to do this common training framework. This is Article 49A from the European Commission, right? And this is what has been done with the work of Innoland. This is what Katharina was mentioning before. What are the requirements from the European Union to get a profession regulated? First of all, a title. Some countries are still not able to define exactly what is a landscape or the name of the landscape architect. We need a state register for landscape architect. We need correct reserved activities only from the profession. At the moment, everybody is working on landscape, everybody is doing on green, etc. So it's a big mess. And we need also a specific qualification required to exercise. So it means, for example, in all the diplomas, we need to have this landscape architect definition. So the Innoland framework proposal, the CTF, so-called CTF, has been mentioned before. I recommend you to read it and to implement it also on the national level. When we are talking about with all this stuff with the European Commission, they told us, well, it's clear, but we would like to see your profession mapped. So we need a questionnaire. We need to ask national ministries to recognize this common training framework. We need the national member states to check their own situation on professional activities. And each member state has to adopt this CTF presented before and include it in the national legislation. And then only after all these approvals from the national states, we are going to have the profession recognized and regulated. It's a long way. It's a very long way to get all the member states on the same level, right? So the takeaways, and then this is my last slide. I would say, forget the CTF at the moment, or do it, because it's going to take a long time. But I would recommend you, this is also on this slide, to talk more and to be more active on the national level, to get also the architects on board, because they are our allies when we are working on these adaptation challenges, on the climate transformation things, and to work and address all these topics together at the national level with all the professions dealing with the built and non-built environment. Thank you so much for this, and hope we can work together in the implementation of this big challenge. Thank you.